Hey guys, welcome back to the video, and welcome back to the video on Juarez Gunslinger. Now last time, if I'm not mistaken, we went after, I think his name was Grey Wolf, and we had a vision, and found out some more nuggets of truth. Anyway, let's go on. I can't remember what comes next. I don't know if it's Jesse James or Butch
Thank you,
Cassidy's
darling.
kid.
It's interesting how the truth can sometimes seem might malleable, depending upon your point of view.
Like how those dime novels make you out to be something you're not?
Jack, don't be starting trouble.
No, he's right. They do tend to exaggerate.
Did they exaggerate your part in taking down the Daltons?
Dalton Gang.
Well, I was there in the flesh, boy, so I saw what happened firsthand. Those Daltons were lawmen once, before they all went bad, robbing banks and trains clear across the territory. Until Coffeeville, of course. I was one of the citizens who took up arms that day.
Fighting on the side of the right?
I did my best, sir. We all did. It was early morning. One of my friends was a local gunsmith, and he handed out firearms to anybody who'd take one. You see, the Daltons got it in their heads to rob two banks at the same time. Two banks on the same damn street. Story was Bob Dalton's girl was always writing about how he had no ambition. Oh, you're nobody next to Jesse James, she'd say. Finally, the bastard took his brothers to Coffeeville just to shut her up. Well, the locals recognized the Daltons right off. Before they could get away, half the town took up arms to defend their property.
Let's take some of this money. And we're gonna take the Ranger. Ranger's better.
The brothers paid dearly for their stupidity, but everybody knows they had it coming.
There's more to it than that. I read all about that day, so I know for a fact that it went down very differently. First of all, it was high noon. A posse of U.S. deputy marshals were on the rooftop across the street.
Get ready. They're gonna make a move.
The lawmen had been tracking the Daltons for months, and now they finally had them dead to rights. Among them was a bounty hunter feared by many a lawbreaker. The marshals tried to get the Daltons to surrender.
They'll give up eventually. You just got to witness.
This bounty hunter knew that the brothers were far too proud to ever lay down their guns. So he went in there alone to confront those criminals.
Ladder?
One of the marshals shouted, "Where are you going? Are you crazy?"
Hey, where do you think you're going, dumbass? That rifle's mine.
But he paid him no mind. He saw a way to get around to the back of the bank. Then he figured out how to hit the Daltons from a direction they weren't expecting.
No nuggets around here?
From above. Fortunately, a water tower was right there. A moment later, he was climbing up a steep ladder, laughing at danger as he did. It was brave men like him who risked their lives to tame this wild country.
We've got company.
Heroic men like him, who did what other men couldn't or wouldn't to make this country free.
There's 6 shooters.
Like Jim Bowie and Davy Crockett, who died defending the Alamo.
Is that Silas Green? Son of a bitch!
know who I am. He knows my name. Coffeyville. On October 5th, 1892, the Dalton gang appeared in the hometown of Coffeyville, Kansas. Their plan was to rob two banks at the same time. Their targets were C.M. Condon and Company's Bank and the First National Bank across the street from one another. Brothers Bob, Grant, and Emmett and their compadres, Dick Broadwell and Bill Power, split into two groups. Wearing false beards, they showed up at both banks when they opened, planning to pull off a quick double heist. One of the groups robbed their bank without incident, but the other was outfoxed by a brave bank employee who convinced the bandits that the safe was protected by a time lock, which wouldn't open for another 10 minutes. They waited for it to open, and in the time the entire town rallied against them. The citizens of Coffeyville recognized the brothers in spite of their less than clever disguises and had no intention of letting them escape with the money. A bloody gunfight broke out in the streets of Coffeyville, and the entire gang was killed, except for the youngest, Emmett, who was shot 23 times. He was sentenced to life in prison, but was released after 14 years. He would often say it was the U.S. Marshal, Heck Thomas, who pushed the Daltons into attempting the crazy plan by tracking them so relentlessly. The Coffeyville robbery was supposed to be the gang's ticket out of the life of crime. Instead, it was the ticket to the cemetery for most of them. Which is neat. That's actually the same thing that happened with Springfield, Missouri. I think it's Missouri. When Frank and Jesse James and, Cole Younger gang robbed them. The bank employees said the vault was on a time lock, and they tried pretty much everything except for just opening the vault because it was unlocked.
Over there! Silas Reeves! What the hell? Blam! He came away victorious, taking down those thieving Daltons. His name was Silas Greaves, and when the dust finally settled, he was the last man standing.
Sorry, kid, but that just wasn't the way it happened. It was early evening, not high noon.
Fair.
The Daltons blew up a safe, and were all set to hightail it out of there. I was late to the party, and Coffeyville was already up in arms. Those pathetic deputies surrounding the bank were dropping like flies.
Love it. Bob, Emmett, and Grant.
I'd been tracking those jokers for months, waiting for them to do something reckless. Finally, they did. Those stupid bastards decided to rob two banks at the same time in the same town where everybody knew them, but they still had friends in Coffeyville.
Bye-bye.
That is too good, bro. Those friends came after me like a pack of wild dogs, tooth and nail. They were coming at me from all directions. I caught sight of the Daltons running with the money and didn't want to lose them. Problem was, they knew the town better than I did. And to top it off, I found myself in the middle of another shootout entirely.
Did the Daltons hole up in somebody's house?
No, it was the Smiths, I believe. They were cousins of the Daltons, and they were shooting at the Browns, who were shooting at the Daltons, which wasn't any surprise, because those two families have been feuding forever. And since the Joneses are related to the Browns, they shot at the Smiths, pissing off the Heimhoffers, whose daughter recently married a Smith. Well, bullets were flying every which way as all the old feuds in Kansas caught fire all at once. There was a hell of a lot of pissed off people in Coffeyville that day. But that's just the way life is sometimes. Shit happens.
The Daltons. Related to the famous Youngers, the Dalton brothers, Grant and Bob and Emmett, gave up their jobs as lawmen in the 1890s to form the so-called Dalton Gang. The sole purpose of their enterprise was to rob trains and banks and make a heck of a lot of money, or make a heck of a lot more money than they ever did as peace officers. They also coveted a bit of the notoriety their more famous cousins enjoyed as members of the James Gang. One such robbery ended in the arrest of Grant, who then managed to astonish the marshals who had him in custody by escaping from a moving train. Grant stole a key to his chains from a napping guard, then jumped through the window right into a river when the train was crossing the bridge. The Daltons weren't always so lucky. One of them, Bob, desperate to make a reputation as an outlaw, but surpass that of Jesse James, suggested an incredibly daring plan. He wanted to rob two banks at the same time in broad daylight. On October 5th, 1892, the brothers rode into Coffeyville, their hometown. They hid behind fake beards and attempted to do what no outlaw had ever done before. Their bold plan ended up in a complete disaster for the brothers and their comrades in arms. Bob died that day, and his brother Emmett, shot 23 times, miraculously lived, went to prison, and was later pardoned. He died in Hollywood in 1937 after trying his hand at being an actor, an author, and a real estate agent. I want to say that he actually played himself in the... It's either him or Frank James. There was a very early movie that was about them, and someone played themselves. Any nuggets up here? That would have been a really good place to hide a nugget.
The Dalton boys knew I would never give up. Those Daltons weren't the sharpest knives in the drawer, but they always stood together. They set a trap to slow me down and allow at least two of them to escape. The third brother stayed behind to plant me, just in case that trap of theirs didn't work.
The trap didn't work.
It was Emmett, the youngest, and he decided to stand his ground and face me down.
I ain't afraid of you, Silas Reeves. This is where it ends for you.
He was determined to protect his brothers, and I understood how he felt. Taking me on all by his lonesome wasn't exactly a recipe for a long night.
I'm gonna plant you where you stand. You ain't getting my meat, Reeves.
But Emmett Dalton survived the robbery in Coffeyville. He's the only Dalton who did.
They say he was shot 23 times.
Well, Dwight, who do you think put all those damn holes in him? But I have to admit, that boy had grit.
Anyway, guys, that's where we're going to leave it off this time. Remember to like, share, and subscribe, and, well, let me know if you enjoyed it. And I do know most of you aren't subscribed. Well, at least I know that 90-something% of the views I get aren't from subscribers. So if you ain't subscribed, subscribe, please. And feel free to like and share. Anyway, that's going to be it for this one. Have a good one. Adios.